Hello everyone. Welcome to your Easy Guide to English section for CLAT examination series. And today we are going to start a new topic, common literary devices. This is a very interesting topic and it is equally important also because almost every year it is asked in the reading comprehension. You're supposed to identify the literary device that has been used in the passage. So what are literary devices? These literary and rhetorical devices are basically tools or language. They are almost like jewels of the language. So they make language more attractive and more poetic. So it's like rather than speaking just plain, we can actually use these devices to embellish. What does embellish means? To decorate the language and make it sound more appealing and attractive. So as we go further, you will see what these are and how they make the language more appealing and attractive and sometimes even funny. So let's start. So there are various categories in which we are going to study these devices. So some devices that work on creating an imagery or comparison are the first category that we are going to study. Simile, metaphor, personification, allusion, juxtaposition, antithesis, epithet, metonymy, synecdoche. These are the devices that we will study in this first category. The second ones are sound and wordplay. So these devices they evoke a sense of sound, and a lot of them are they evoke a sense of humor uh, through wordplay. So alliteration, onomatopoeia, pun, oxymoron, irony, chiasmus, isocolon, colloquialism, all these literary devices, they are sound and wordplay. Now then there are some devices that play upon tone and style. So hyperbole, euphemism, paradox, anecdote, satire, epigram, litotes, rhetorical question, all these. Then there are some figurative tools also, such as apostrophe, anaphora, allegory, anthropomorphism, anachronism, and some structural and philosophical devices such as allusion, anachronism, aphorism. Now, I know we've heard some very major heavy words in this table, but do not be scared. Most often, the easy ones are asked in the examinations. So, the focus of the lecture will be on those that are frequently asked, but we cannot know where the questions can be framed from. So, we'll also cover some of the devices that haven't been asked that frequently till this point, but it would be better that you know them so that if they come in the exam, you have some vague idea what they are and you're able to attempt the question anyway. Okay, so let's start with the first device, that is alliteration. Now, alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound at the beginning of closely connected words. So, it is mostly used to create a sense of rhythm and musicality. It is supposed to draw attention to a phrase or idea. So in Hindi, it is called Anupras Alankar. So, it gives a very good tonality to the whole language. It is often used in poetry, tongue twisters, and brand names. So for example, whisper words of wisdom. So here, W, 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 the consonant W has been repeated. So it should always be the first letter of the word. So whisper words of wisdom. Big bad wolf. So big bad, not the W wolf, but big bad. Similarly, Coca Cola. It sounds like it's easy to remember when the CC kind of uh, alliteration is present, or Dunkin' Donuts, PayPal. So you see, all these brand names are play upon the repeated use of the consonants. So alliteration. Similarly, Silent Storm. So all these are example of alliteration. So the first letter is repeated to create a sense of rhythm and musicality, to draw attention to a phrase or idea. Okay. Now onomatopoeia. So the words that imitate the natural sound of a thing, the word sounds like sound it describes. Okay. They make writing vivid and expressive. They imitate the real world sounds in a very sensory manner. So, for example, if you have read comic books, you will exactly know what it means. So, in comic books, when they have to show that the hero or the villain are fighting, so the that fighting scene is often expressed in form of sounds. So, how do they express sounds in words? They write them: boom, bang, pow, zap, whoosh. So, all these words are very frequent in comic books to give you a sense of sounds. Then another way would be murmuring of innumerable bees. So suppose you come across a line, murmuring of innumerable bees. So murmuring here. Or what sounds does a balloon makes when it bursts? Pop. So pop is also onomatopoeia. The bees buzzed and looked and Brook gurgled. So buzz, the buzzing of the bees or the buzzing of your cell phone. Buzz is onomatopoeia because it is giving a sense of sound, the way the bees are making the sound. Or the brook gurgled. So gurgling is the sound of moving water when it is moving. The sound of the flowing water in the river that you come across. Na khan 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 in Hindi we say. So that's gurgling sound. So gurgled, pow, zap, whoosh, boom, bang. All these sound producing words are onomatopoeia. Okay. Even the word itself is so many sounds, onomatopoeia, as if like so many sounds have been just clubbed together to make this word onomatopoeia. Okay. So onomatopoeia. So they imitate the natural sound. Okay. Pun. Pun, I think you all must be, like a lot of you must be familiar with it because it is quite popular on social media. So a pun is a play on words using word that has two meanings or similar sounding words for a humorous or clever effect. So for humor, wit, and double meanings, this pun is used. It is quite common in headlines, advertising, and stand-up comedy. So I came across this bakery pun, that is bread pit. So there is this Hollywood actor Brad Pitt. So some bakery that sells bread, they have written bread pit. That is like they're trying to play upon the word brad and bread pit. So that's a pun. Lettuce serve you better. So the first word lettuce. Lettuce is a vegetable of the cauliflower family that you get served in McVeggie burger. I'm sure you're aware of lettuce. So here, let us and lettuce. That's the word play, and they have used the word lettuce replacing let us and evoking a humorous effect. So like a food delivery service has used this line. Let us serve you better. So they might be serving burgers and all. Loaf at first sight. So loaf is a loaf of bread, so that loaf. So the word love and loaf have been played upon. So loaf at first sight. I don't trust stairs because they're always up to something. So that's again. So all these things that the like same word have been used with different meanings. So loaf at first sight, I mean these all are using the words very humorously to create that humor effect. Okay. So all these are the example of pun. So play on words. Sometimes these statements are also there, but for the purpose of your examination, I've included these statements also, but mostly for the purpose of your examination, stick to the words. For example, bread pit or loaf at first sight, these kind of things. Okay. Oxymoron. So an oxymoron is a combination of two contradictory words placed together to create a striking expression. So to express complex layered ideas in a concise way, or to shock and make readers think about the contradiction. So sometimes when you bring two contradicting things together just to shock the readers, just to create that dramatic effect. So like you say, bittersweet experience. So sometimes say if you're during a farewell and if you're leaving your school and you're coming for college, so it's a sweet experience also because you're going to start a new journey of your college. So you're excited for it, but you're also feeling bad about leaving your old friends. So it's a bittersweet. So that shows that like combination of two contradictory words, and it is giving altogether a new meaning. Or deafening silence. So deafening is like silence is no sound, and deafening is like when you can't hear. So it's like the silence felt so loud, it felt so dramatic. So deafening silence. So it's that something deafening is like something too loud that it's making you deaf. So but silence being so strong that is almost feeling like it's so loud, it's almost into the face, like you are like why so silent types, almost like say imagine a road in a horror movie. So that silence is like it's creating, like it's feeling too heavy on yourself. Original copy. Now again, original copy is humorous way of saying like something original cannot be copied. So original copy. So first copy is the way to say, but like original copy is also an oxymoron. Clearly confused, used in humorous way. So if you can either be clear or you can be confused, but clearly confused is like oxymoron. Like clarity and confusion are two contradictory or the opposite words. So clearly confused. Organized chaos, mandatory fun, open secret. So all these things, they are two opposite meaning words put together to create a altogether a new idea. So these are often used in advertising, social media posts, and all those things. So oxymoron. So combination of two contradictory words placed together to create a striking expression. Irony. Irony again, it's very commonly used in the like everyday life also, like day-to-day language also. So it occurs when there's a contrast between expectation and reality. For example, in Titanic, Rose says, "This ship can't sink," and just few minutes later, it hits the iceberg and it's like sinking. So that's an irony. So like there's a contrast between expectation and reality. Similarly, in Harry Potter, Voldemort tries to kill Harry but ends up giving him power. So it's a situational irony. So irony can be of many type like verbal in the way I am speaking. Situation is such. So that's a situational irony. A fire station burning down. That's like irony because a fire station is supposed to be equipped with all the things to save from fire, or it is supposed to save everyone else from fire. If it cannot save itself from the fire, so that like it's a irony. No, of course it's expected to be able to save itself because it's supposed to be the most well equipped place. So that's an irony. A diet soda with triple cheeseburger. That would be an ironical thing to do, to eat a diet soda with triple cheeseburger. Like you're eating cheeseburgers with so much cheese, high on calorie, and then you're asking for a diet soda. Like, no, 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 I can't consume too much sugar. But you're having so much calorie in the cheeseburger. So, like expectations and reality, there's a striking contrast. So, all these are the example of irony when there's a contrast between expectation and reality. Now let's try to revise these concepts by doing some questions. So this is the first practice passage. We'll read this out and then we'll attempt the questions. Okay. So the market was a melody of motion. Vendors shouted deals with voices that rose and rolled like waves. Buy one, get one, buy two, get three. The repetition felt like a chant. Children giggled as balloons popped, soda cans hissed, and the smell of fresh samosas sizzled in hot oil. Amid the chaos, a tiny banner read, "Let us help you save," hanging above a vegetable stall. It was noisy, crowded, and somehow charming. So, this is a description of a marketplace, a bustling marketplace. If you remember, we did the word bustling in the vocabulary. So, now let's try to do the questions. Question 1. Which of the following is an example of onomatopoeia in the passage? So we have done onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia are the words that evoke the sound. So these are the words that are exactly the text that are making that sound, not describing sound. So for example, the option A, vendors shouted deals. So here you might think that shouting is act of producing sound. So it is an act of producing sound. It is not exactly the sound. So option A is not the correct option. Buy two, get three, of course, not the correct option. Option C, soda cans hissed. And option D, voices rose and rolled. So here, voices rose and rolled again. It is not the sound. It's like it's only telling you about the movement of sound. Option C, soda cans hissed. So hiss is the sound that the cans are making by when they are, like hitting each other. So the soda cans hissed. That sound, the word hissed is onomatopoeia here. Okay, so do not confuse it with the sound producing or actions of the sound, but exactly the sound. The word that is telling you what the sound is. His, what else? Pow, whoosh, all those. So here option C is the correct option. Question 2. Identify the pun used in the passage. Let us help you say, B. Samosas sizzled in hot oil. C. Children giggled as balloons popped. Or D. The market was a melody of motion. So option A, let us help you save, because the word lettuce is a pun upon let us being replaced with lettuce. Lettuce is a vegetable as we just discussed. So option A. This is your answer. Now another passage. The sky screamed. The wind whipped wickedly across the field, tearing down trees with a crack and a crash. It was deafening silence after the chaos, the kind that felt louder than noise. In a nearby farmhouse, an old man chuckled at the news bulletin. The weather will remain calm today, it had said. He shook his head. Forecasts are always clearly confused, he muttered. So this is again just a small description. It's painting a picture of change of weather, and it's describing the weather. And it was supposed to stay calm, but somehow it is seemingly stormy weather. So this is the situation that is being described in the passage. Now let us look at the questions. What literary device is used in "The wind whipped wickedly"? So you see what is done here. We see that the letter W is repeated. Wind whipped wickedly. So the literary device used here is, of course, not pun, because there is no double meaning humor on the one word. Onomatopoeia, there is no sound that is being produced. Irony, there is no such situation created where there is a difference between expectation and reality. So, of course, it is option B, alliteration. Now, question 2, identify the oxymoron in the passage. Sky screamed, deafening silence, trees with a crack and crash, news bulletin. So, what was oxymoron? Two contradictory situation, two contradictory words placed together to create a dramatic effect. So, deafening silence. Something that is deafening is too loud, and silence, that is there is no voice or anything. So, these two contrasting words have been placed together to show that it was like stark silence, not even little bit of sound. So deafening silence. The silence is too heavy, almost like a heavy noise. Deafening silence. Okay. What makes the old man's reaction an example of situational irony? So the old man says, "No, the weather will remain calm." He remembered the news headline as "the weather will remain calm." So it was predicted that the word it was sorry forecasted, that's the right word, it was forecasted the weather to remain calm, but it turns out, but then he thought that, see, forecasts are always confused, so because the forecast, there's a difference between situation and what actually turned out, so it's an ironical situation. So why is the situation ironical? Because he expected the storm to come, because he finds the forecast funny, the forecast claimed calm weather but a storm hit, or D, he enjoys that storm. So option C is the correct option, because it arises when reality contradicts the expectations. So the forecast said it will stay, the weather will be calm, but there was a storm. Now let's get to further literary devices. Simile. A simile is a figure of speech. A figure of speech are, again, these literary devices, they are called figure of speech because they are used again for embellishment, for figuratively in the language, for decorating the language. Okay. So a simile is a figure of speech that directly compares two different things using the words like or as to highlight a shared quality. So the easiest way to find to locate simile is the use of word like or as. It is used to create vivid imagery. It is used to help the reader understand an unfamiliar idea through a familiar comparison. So this is again to give you a better idea through comparison. And the easiest way to locate, if there is like or if there is as that has been used to compare two things, then it is a simile. So life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So this is a dialogue from Forrest Gump. This dialogue was also copied in Lal Singh Chaddha movie, that life is like a box of pani puri. You never know what you're gonna get. So, so the word like. So life and box of chocolates are compared here using the word like. So it's an example of simile. Strong as an ox. So again, the word as has been used to compare strong and ox. So like an ox, strong. So that's the implication. Okay. Exams are like thunderstorms. You know they're coming, but you're never really ready, which is a truism. So again, the word like has been used to compare exams and thunderstorm. So similarly, again, always comparing two situations with the use of word like or as. So it's very easy to locate like and as comparison, then it's a simile. Okay. Now metaphor. Metaphor is also used for comparison, but it is used for comparison between two unlike things without using like or as. So implying as if one thing is other. It is used to express complexity in a compact and powerful manner to transfer meaning from one domain to another. So it doesn't say that two things are alike. It tells you one thing is another. So, I mean, when let's look at the examples to better understand. So, this is line by William Shakespeare in his play As You Like It. All the words stage and all the men and women are merely player. So okay, world is a stage should be there, but I think in the old English it is written like that. I'm not sure, but the implied meaning is that all the world is a stage and the men and women are merely players. So here the world or like the whole life is compared to a stage, that the world, this world is like a stage. So rather than saying the world is like a stage, the world is a stage has been said. So it's a comparison, but without using words like or as, because if like or as was used, it would become simile. So all the world is a stage and all the men and women are players. So here these the comparison is between the done between two things, and those two things are like all made uh, imposed upon one another. Okay, so here life is made stage and people are made actors. So rather than indirect comparison using like or as, they are directly imposed upon each other. Okay. Or when someone says you're the light of my life, so it's not like you're like the light or like that. No, it's like you are the light of my life, you're light. Okay. So when the imposition is done, direct comparison is done, one thing becomes another. So light, like you and light have been made one in this line. Okay. So one thing becomes another without like or as. That is metaphor. Comparison when one thing becomes another without using like or as is a metaphor. So, for example, this car is a beast. Now, this car is not a buffalo, course of the buffalo, or this car is not an animal. This car is a beast, is oftenly said to say this car is very powerful, like an animal. So, it's that. So, this car is a beast. Comparison between the strength of a car and an animal or a beast. So, this car is a beast. So, that's like directly one thing has been turned to into another. Okay. So, as in like simile, one thing turned into another metaphor. Now, personification. What does personification do? As the name suggests, that it gives person like or human like qualities to non human things. So, what are human like qualities? For example, feelings, thoughts, actions to non human things such as objects, animals, or ideas. It is done to, create emotions and connections, or to animate scenes and help leaders engage better with abstract or lifeless things. So the Panchtantra stories you might have read as in your childhood, where the animals could speak like human. So those animals were given human-like quality of being able to of speaking. Animals can't speak, but giving them human-like quality of communication, or like no communication, so they do, but like speaking the language. So that is personification. Or say in the line, the wind whispered through the trees. Whispering is like when someone speaks softly in the ear, that's whispering. So a human can whisper, no, but the wind flowing between the trees has been given the human like quality of whispering. So wind whispered, that's a personification. It's almost like a human is, speaking softly. The wind is blowing through the trees like that. The city never sleeps. So of course, the sleeping and like being awake is a human quality, and the city is not a human. City is a non-human. So giving this quality to city, I mean, the implication is that the city stays active all through the night. People are going here and there, and some of the other activities going on. So the city never sleeps. So here, sleeping, that human quality has been given to the non-human city. The camera loves you. Now, camera is not a human. Camera cannot come tomorrow with a rose and propose you. Of course, it means that you can, like, you are looking good in front of the camera somehow. You're good with posing and everything. So the camera loves you. So the loving is a human quality that has been given to the non-human, that is camera. Or the famous line, Red Bull gives you wing. It means that it makes you very active. It doesn't like literally gives you wing. While the ad is, that's the pun in the advertisement. It literally gives you wing in the advertisement, but that doesn't happen. I'm sure a lot of you might have tried Red Bull and you still are wingless. So, of course. So, giving that human like, although humans don't have wings, but still, it's not a very, I mean, it's not the right, actually, it's not the right example. It's not absolutely correct, but it's not absolutely wrong, but because bull doesn't have wing. So, it's sort of that thing. But let's just, for the sake of clarity, let's remove this example. Okay. I'm sorry, just remove this example. The book on my shelf begged to be read. So begging, again, like it's a human thing. Books cannot come and beg you. If they could, like a lot of books from on a lot of shelves would be begging. So again, begging is a human activity that humans beg. So the books on my shelf begged. So again, the non-human quality has been given to human. So this, okay, personification. So the person like quality given to non-human. Okay, personification. Allusion. What is an allusion? It's an indirect reference to a person, place, event, or a literary work that the writer assumes the reader will recognize. So it's often some very famous reference is taken and it is used for comparison. So unlike metaphor, simile, all those comparative devices that we read before this, in those non famous or non I mean, just any two things can be, anything can be compared, but in allusion often the like important people or the known famous people, famous things are used in comparison. So for example, he was a real Romeo with the ladies. Now everybody knows who Romeo is, or Romeo and Juliet is, like everybody knows about it. So the word Romeo has been used as a comparison, that this person is full of love or is like playboy kind of person, whatever. But he was a real Romeo. So the Romeo is being used here for comparison, but the phrase Romeo isn't like used because the phrase Romeo has been used. A famous person or a famous character, sorry, not a person, I'm sorry, a famous character. So it's a allusion. So for example, she had a Cinderella moment at the party. Again, Cinderella is a like story which almost everybody is aware of. So that famous that story, this character from that story has been used as a reference for comparison. So in allusion, always some famous person or character will be used for comparison. When that is done, that's an allusion. Or this is our moon landing moment. Again, moon landing moment is referred to as the first time a human stepped their feet on his feet on moon. So that was like that is one important event. The implication here is that this is our moon landing moment. That's something historical we have done at this point. So all these the indirect references are always very are the popular or the known references. When that kind of a comparison is done, it is allusion. Okay, I hope there is no confusion. Juxtaposition. What is juxtaposition? From the position itself, you can see that there are some positioning of uh, something is done. So when two or more contrasting ideas or images are positioned side by side to highlight their difference. So it is often done to shock or highlight the irony or emphasize the theme. For example, Slumdog Millionaire. So it juxtaposes the luxury of the game shows in the flash with the flashbacks of poetry. So in this movie, sorry, poverty. I'm sorry. So in this movie, we see the juxtaposition in the like whole all through the movie. So here we see that there is luxury of the game. There is a very luxurious set, and then this guy who's answering. I mean, if you've not watched the movie, it's about a poor guy who reaches to a game show which is like KBC, and he wins a lot of money. So there are various questions that are being asked in the game show, like it's done in KBC, Kaun Banega Crorepati, and the contestant, that poor guy who's the contestant, he's able to answer them, and every time a question flashes across his screen, he can answer them because that is related to some experience he has had, and because of he's poor, so those experiences are around his poor life. So every time a question comes, some poor flash like some flashback of poverty happens. So like that luxury is juxtaposed with the poverty. So that's juxtaposition. Or in the movie Parasite also, that was a I think last to last year Oscar winning movie, where again a poor family is shown and a rich family is shown. The poor family lives in the basement, the rich family lives at a slightly elevation, and that's a very real thing also. Often elite societies are located at elevation. I think in Mumbai also there is this Malabar Hills area where these all elites, I think Ambanis and all, they live. So that kind of hierarchy is shown by juxtaposing two ideas in that movie. So Parasite. So even in the in the ads that you see, before and after ads, fitness ads and all that show before and after, or the skincare ads they show before and after, these are all juxtaposition of the contrasting ideas. So the idea is to sort of evoke the like contrast to give that dramatic impact again. This is not, for example, this is not a liberal America and a conservative America. This is a United States of America. This is, I think, from the speech by Mr. Obama. So here the juxtaposition of political division versus unity. So the united in the United States is unity, and the liberal versus conservative is a polarization. These two ideas have been put together, and see, that's a beautiful line. It sounds like a beautiful line. Okay, so this is what juxtaposition is. Antithesis. What is antithesis? It's a form of juxtaposition where two opposing ideas are expressed in a grammatically parallel structure. So antithesis is actually a very, it's a Marxist concept. So there it is. According to the concept, there is a thesis and there is opposite to that idea, that is antithesis. So suppose you are a person who's very sweet and is very soft spoken, and your friend is like very blunt. So that friend is your antithesis. He or she is completely opposite to you. So for an idea also, if an idea expressing one side of the reality is thesis, and a completely contradictory side of that idea would be its antithesis. Okay. So antithesis again, then it forms a juxtaposition where two opposing ideas are expressed in a grammatically parallel structure to create a rhetorical impact. For example, to err is human, to forgive is divine. So in this, error and forgiveness are two qualities that are completely opposite to each other. Now they are placed together to create a very rhetorical impact. Or give me liberty or give me death. So again, liberty is like freedom and death is like dying. So something like ideas are put together to give a very stark, like two opposing ideas are put together to give a very stark meaning. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. So again, together as brothers like cooperation, or like stupid fools that we perish together. We perish. So again, these are all, I mean, you can't see them exactly word to word things, but I have used these phrases just so that you are able to locate them in the comprehension, because in the comprehension they will be present in form of idea, not exactly lines. So that's why these might be a little difficult to understand, but in the paragraph, if they are asked, they'll be expressed in form of idea. So you have to see what, if you are aware of, like if you have an understanding of the concept, you'll be able to see that these are opposing ideas and they are expressed in a parallel structure to create that impact. Okay. Epithet. What is an epithet? It's a descriptive phrase or adjective expressing a key quality of a person, thing, or a place. So, to give a distinct identity or highlight a trait, epithets are given. So, for example, New York City is called the Big Apple, or the taglines trusted by millions are used by Colgate, or like 2 minute noodles, Maggie. Like the moment someone says 2 minute noodles, you know what Maggie is being talked about. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but it somehow has become an epithet. That if it's a 2 minute noodle, so it's Maggie. Now there are so many noodles that are there in the market, but for the longest time, 2 minute noodle had been an epithet, like a quick food. The Dark Knight again for Batman. So all these are like phrases that encapsulate a descriptive quality of what is being described. Okay. Metonymy. What is a metonymy now? It's a figure of speech where one word or phrase is substituted with something closely associated with it. So it is used to make language more vivid and symbolic. It reflects social and cultural shortcuts. So say in the line, Bollywood is obsessed with remakes. So here Bollywood is a word that is used for Indian film industry. So every time we say Bollywood, it means the Indian film industry, or the crown will address the nation tonight. So here, like a crown will not come and like speak. It means the queen or the king, whosoever is ruling the monarchy. So the crown will address the nation tonight. Here, the word crown has replaced monarchy, the queen or the king, whosoever is coming to address. Similarly, Wall Street reacted with panic. So the Wall Street has been used as a shortcut to, for the whole of financial market that has so many different components and players. So metonymy, when a word or a phrase is substituted with something closely associated with it. Okay, I hope this one is clear. Okay. Now it's a figure of speech in which a part represents the whole or the whole represents a part. So again, let's see. Let's try to understand this with examples. All hands on deck. Now, doesn't mean that you cut your hand and you throw them on deck. That's not what this line is saying. Hands here means sailor. So all hands on deck means all sailors should come on deck. The suits walked in. So the suits here represent business executives, because business executives are always in suits. They're pretty much doing work all the time and they're always in their business attire. So the suits walked in. So the word suit is used to represent this whole persona. Lend me your ear doesn't mean you chop your ear off and give me that. No, do not do that, please. I'm just asking that give me your attention. Hear me out. Like, so lend me your ears. So here ear is representing the whole you. So that is put more wheels on road. Now doesn't mean just bring the wheels and tires from the shops and put them on road. No, it means car. So the only one part, wheel, is representing the whole, that is car. Again, boots on the ground. This is a very common phrase in the newspapers. Boots on the ground. The boots here represent the soldiers. So often in foreign policy articles, this you can come across this phrase where boots on the ground is being discussed, whether the soldiers should be sent in that war or not. Something like that kind of discussion is going on. That can have the phrase boots on the ground. That is soldiers in the war zone or something like that. So here boots, just one part, is representing the whole, that is soldiers. Okay. Now, I have already explained this metaphor, allusion, and allegory. Allegory we'll do again. I thought I'll do it again at the end, but never mind. So, metaphor, allusion, and allegory. These are all direct comparison devices. So sometimes they can be a little confusing. So let's try to see what the difference between them is. So metaphor is a direct comparison between two unrelated things, saying one is the other. It is used to highlight quality or emphasize similarity. What is an allusion? An allusion is a short reference to a well known, mind you, it's a well known person, place, event, or work of art that author expects the audience to recognize. For example, we did that Romeo example. So we all know who Romeo is. So we'll understand the Romeo has been like used as an comparison for comparison. So he's like well known person. So it is often done to evoke depth through shared knowledge. Now, what is allegory? An allegory is an extended narrative where everything, character, event, setting, symbolically represents an abstract idea. So allegory is often relatively longish thing. It is not in one statement or two statement. They are often in form of languages. Sorry, in form of story. So it's often longish. So it is meant to convey some moral, philosophical, or political meaning throughout the story. So allegory is often longish story where everything is symbolically representing something else. So if you have like might have heard of philosophical stories, for example, some philosophical movies, they are very allegorical because they are showing one thing on the surface, but they have very like deep meanings hidden behind those thing on the top. Okay, so that's allegory. Now, length, like I said, metaphor is usually one line or a phrase. Allusion, again, one line, one phrase. But allegory is a full story, poem, or fable because it has to be very symbolic and the whole is representing a completely different meaning than what it is looking like. So, an example of the metaphor will be he is a tiger in the courtroom. Now, he doesn't become a tiger. It's not like he's a chadari tiger or anything. But he's a tiger. That means he's like fierce and very strong in his demeanor when he's in the courtroom. He's a fierce lawyer. Allusion example would be she has the patience of Buddha. So, we all know who Buddha is. So, the moment Buddha is mentioned, we understand what the speaker is trying to say. So, she has the patience of Buddha. Allegory, the tortoise and the hare. This whole story is allegory. So this it teaches us that slow and steady wins the race. So that would be an allegory. So the what is the effect that is intended by these devices? Metaphor for imaginative expression, illusion for cultural depth and intertextual meaning, allegory again symbolic storytelling. So you see the difference that for metaphor it's basic to whatever like any two things being compared made one illusion famous things or references being used allegory long story. So allegory is not that important for your RC purposes, but it's better that if you know it, we never know in what way a question can be framed. Now antithesis, juxtaposition, and irony, again these are very similar in like in appearance because they are all dealing with placing opposite ideas. So in antithesis, opposing ideas are placed in parallel structure. In juxtaposition, two contrasting ideas or images are played are side by side for an effect. And irony is a discrepancy between expectation and reality. So for antithesis, it is supposed to show rhetorical contrast. The juxtaposition is supposed to highlight the difference to create shock or surprise. And again, irony could be surprise, could be sarcasm, contradiction, or a hidden meaning. The structure of an antithesis is always like symmetrical x versus y kind of manner. Juxtaposition could be visual, thematic. We've seen the example. Irony is situational, verbal, or dramatic. Situational, again, if the situation is such that you were expecting something and something else is happening. Verbal, when someone says something like that, it is different from what he's expected to say and what he actually says. Dramatic, again, the situation is such that the effect of the situation is ironical. So the example of antithesis, that's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. So small step and giant leap. Two, these are not necessarily opposing and creating the drastic effect. They are both in the similar, but just the scale of effect is being extended. In juxtaposition, a crying baby in a room full of silent monks. So first it is very visual, it's painting a picture, and then a crying baby and monk, silence of the monk, them contrasting ideas, and the effect is expected out of it. Okay, juxtaposition. And irony, like we've discussed this before, a fire station burns down. It's a situational irony. The situation is such that it is there's a discrepancy between expectation and reality. Or oh great, another power cut during my online exam. Verbal irony because I'm saying This, oh great, another power cut during my online exam. So like it's not a great thing, of course. So irony, antithesis, and juxtaposition. Okay. Now let's try to attempt some questions in the passage. So the sun peeked over the horizon, stretching its golden arms across the sleepy town. Trees stood silent as if holding their breath for the first rays of warmth. In one corner of the village, an old woman shuffled slowly along the path, her back bent like a question mark, as though her years of living had left a punctuation on her spine. Her eyes closed, clouded with time, sparkled momentarily as she watched the birds dart like dancers in the sky. The day had begun, not with a roar, but with a gentle sigh of light brushing away the darkness. Okay, so it's a very beautiful picture of starting of the day, and an old woman in the village has been painted here. Now let's see what the questions are. Which of the following lines contain a simile? The sun peeked over the horizon, her back bent like a question mark. The day had begun like with a gentle sigh, or the trees stood silent. So for simile, that I think is the easiest possible figure of speech, because we can always identify it with the word like or as. So option B, her back bent like a question mark. So she's an old lady, her back is bent. It's making a curve almost like a question mark. So option B, the bend that has been the curve in her back has been compared with the question mark. The phrase the sun peeked over the horizon is an example of which literary device? The sun peeked over the horizon. Simile, personification, metaphor, or hyperbola? Which is it? The sun peaked. Okay. So what it would be B, personification. I hope it is B. Yeah. Because peeking means when you're trying to sort of trying to look at somebody from from like a hidden position. That's speaking. So that's a human activity. So sun, it's almost like it's trying to take a peek from the horizon. So it's like it's still a lot of portion of the sun is still not above the horizon. Horizon is that point beyond which the sun rises or goes down. That's horizon. So like half the sun is not risen completely. So it's all this, it's making a small, only a small portion of the sun is visible. So it's almost like it's trying to peek from behind the horizon, like a kid who is hidden behind say a tree and is trying to peek and look at the person, that if the person is coming or not. So that's peeking. So that would be personification of sun, giving the sun those person like quality. Okay. What is being compared metaphorically in the line? Her years of living had left a punctuation on her spine. What is being compared metaphorically in the line? Okay. Age and grammar, time and spine, spine and punctuation, or bent back and sun. So it's actually her years of living is time. Punctuation is punctuation on her spine is uh, spine. I mean the last word itself is spine. So it should be time and spine. Okay, it's a spine and punctuation. Okay, this is a metaphor and there is no like or as used. Her spine is metaphorically described as punctuation, specifically a question mark implying aging and posture. Okay. Okay. Spine and punctuation. Okay. Okay. That also makes sense. Fine. Actually, the spine and it's almost like a punctuation mark. So it's like years that she's grown and she's been bending. Like when you're young, you're straight. As you grow old, your body just begins to bend. So her years of living had left a punctuation. It's almost like punctuation mark, question mark is a punctuation. So her spine is compared to a punctuation, that is question mark. Okay, so the metaphor is comparing here option C, spine and punctuation. What does the line "the day had begun with a gentle sigh of light brushing away the darkness" suggest? So the sun was sleepy, the day was quiet, the light is being personified, or it was a foggy morning. What does it say? I think it says the light is being personified because the day had begun with a gentle sigh of light brushing away the darkness. So sigh is when you do that, that's sigh. Okay, brushing away is like brushing. These are all human traits. So these are given to light. So hence it's a personification of light. Okay, another passage. The city was a beast, hungry, restless, always demanding more. It didn't sleep, doesn't wait. Neon lights blinked like tired eyes, refusing to close. People moved in waves, each face a mask. every step a part of something of some unending dance. In this chaos, he stood still, a ghost in in a machine that never paused. Okay. Now let's do the questions. Identify the metaphor or metaphors from the passage. So metaphor when two things are compared and one thing becomes another. Neon lights blinkered like tired eye. So here like is used. So of course, while there is a comparison, it cannot be a metaphor. It would rather be a simile. The city was a beast, each face a mask. He stood still. So both option B and C are metaphors because city was a beast, like city and the beast are compared, and each face a mask. Face and mask are uh, compared, sort of like each face a mask and a city of beast. So B and C. Let's see, B and C. Yes. Neon lights blinked like tired eyes is an example of which figure of speech? Oh, it was already a question. So option C, like, it's the easiest. Similarly, so if you see like and as, just mark it. The neon lights blinked sleepily. Which figure of speech is used here? Okay, there's a slight difference. So neon lights blinked like tired eyes. Some of you can actually think that this is a personification because tired eyes. But because like is used, it becomes simile. But if it said the neon lights blinked sleepily, that means there is a direct comparison now, like in the metaphor. So and the comparison is with the human like quality. Okay, do you see the like slight nuanced difference between simile, metaphor, and personification? Here, sleeping, the neon lights blinked sleepily means that it's almost like neon lights are blinking, and blinking is this action of moving your eyelids quickly. So that, or when you're like feeling sleepy, you blink, your eyelids blink like this. That's blinking sleepily. So it's like neon lights blinked sleepily. So giving that person like quality to the neon lights. If it is done directly like this, then it becomes personification. But when indirect comparison is made using like that that the lights blinked like tired eyes, then it's a simile. Direct comparison with human by giving human like qualities, then it's a personification. Okay. The phrase each face a mask, what does it imply? Everyone wore a literal mask or it was a Halloween? Yeah, I think it was it could have been a Halloween. Of course not. It's a joke. Please don't get confused. People were hiding their true feelings and people were dancing. So option C, like it's very like commonly used that this person has wears a mask. That means that person is trying to hide his or her reality behind mask. That people were emotionally guarded or fake or symbolic of pretense. Okay. Uh, I think with this we should maybe end our lecture for today. We'll do rest of the figure of speech in the next lecture because it's already gotten a little long. So let's end this lecture here. Thank you so much for your patience. Try to make your own examples. That is the best way to understand or clarify the doubts that you still have in your mind. And thank you so much. I'll see you again in the next lecture with the second half of it. Okay. Thank you. Bye.